Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to stop for a second to tell you about a conversation I just had with my daughter. And I was talking to my daughter about the rapper Bobby Shmurda, and we were talking about the black community in terms of what's happened to families over the last 40 years. And one of the things that we discussed is that Bobby Shmurda's father had done time in prison, that he got life in prison. I think it might have been for murder, it might have been for something else, I can't quite remember. But that led me down kind of a rabbit hole. I probably gave her more than she bargained for in this one conversation, but she was a good listener. I respect her for being a trooper. And I wanted to share some of what we just discussed with those who are watching. Here's the thing. When I look at Bobby Shmurda as a rapper, I see a guy, unfortunately, who is a product of America. He's a product of a country that decided about 40 years ago that they did not want black people to stand up. They did not want black people to be proud of themselves. They did not want black people to be educated. They certainly didn't want black people to be unified. So they sprinkled drugs and guns into black neighborhoods all across the country, sucked out the jobs and education, replaced it with violence and addiction and all these other problems that come with drugs. As a result, you saw tens of thousands of black men get pulled into the criminal justice system. You saw lots of black families destroyed by drug addictions. You saw many African Americans enduring trauma from drug-related violence. And then you have the survivors who are also traumatized by having to see all this happen all around them. And as a result, the community ends up in complete chaos. And so, years later, you see a guy like Bobby Shmurda who raps only about the things that he sees around him. He raps about drugs and guns and pop, 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 because that's just what he thinks is normal. And it's sad because it's not normal. It's not normal for him to have to rap about his father being in prison. It's not normal for him to rap about or put out songs that glorify and celebrate the execution and the consistent murder and genocide of young black men, which is one of the great holocausts of our society, one of the great reasons that our community should be absolutely outraged about what the country has done to us. When people sit down, and when especially some of these folks I talk to, white folks, I'm not saying anything bad about these individuals, but what I will say is that I have little tolerance for anybody who does not understand why the black community does not have a right to demand reparations. Reparations, it doesn't mean people are going to pay them. I don't know if society's ever going to do that, but I certainly say that if you can't make up for what you did, if you don't want to make things right, then we don't have to forgive you. We should not forgive you. And so when you have a guy like, say, a Steve Harvey who goes and says, I don't give a damn about slavery, when the United States has never apologized for slavery, it's never compensated black people for slavery, never compensated us for Jim Crow, never compensated us for mass incarceration, but yet you want to act like you don't give a damn about it, that is probably one of the most ignorant, most selfish, most horrifically disgusting things that any black person can say. You're basically selling out the torture of millions of your loved ones. These are our grandmothers and great grandmothers that they were raping and beating, and our grandfathers they were castrating. You're willing to sell out the torture of millions of our loved ones because they gave you a show on Family Feud. Again, no disrespect to Steve Harvey entirely, but and I assume if he heard me say this, he'd probably be upset with me. But I just said there's no room for that. There's no room for that kind of ignorance. And also, I think when you look at just the depth of what people have done to the black community, if you look at the ignorance and the chaos that we're trying to clean up, and the fact that you have bigots like Bill O'Reilly that are turning and trying to point the finger and blame it on us, I think that is enough reason for us to be upset. And when I look at Bobby Shmurda, to me Bobby Shmurda is a prototype. He is a product. Here this kid is a genius, a brilliant young artist, could have done anything with his life, but because he grows up around drugs and guns and violence and craziness, that's what he raps about. He grows up without a father because his father's in prison, so he expresses that pain through his music. And then he runs into the white people at Epic Records, some of them black, some of these old coons working for Epic Records, that come along and give him money to promote the genocide of young black men throughout the entire country, making him feel like he's a star when really he's a rabbit trapped in a box. He is a rabbit that has been trapped and prepared for slaughter, because you don't understand, when you are out here rapping about killing people and talking about you the biggest gun-toting nigga on the planet, guess what? You're going to attract a whole lot of gun-toting black people that or other men, real gangsters, that are going to come and try to kill you, take your money, or test you. So at that point, you're going to have to carry a gun in order to defend yourself, at which point you get busted on a gun charge in New York City, which can carry very long prison sentences. So you've been lured as a teenager because you think it's all about a party. You think it's all about partying and money and getting girls. You don't know any better. You don't understand the big game that's being played against you. You get sucked into that if you're a young Bobby Shmurda, and now your life is destroyed. Your life is ruined. If that judge puts down that hammer with a guilty verdict, he will be gone. And guess what? Epic Records has totally thrown him out to pasture. They don't care. In their mind, they're like, "We'll find a new nigga next year." And I'm quoting the song from E40. He had a song called "They'll Find a New Nigga Next Year." That was the chorus. It was the song was called "To Whom It May Concern." You should go listen to it. And it burns me up because I feel that his experience really is a product of a system that is designed to destroy black people. One thing that black men have to understand is that you are at war. The worst way to be at war is when you don't even know that war has been declared on you. People have declared war on you, and you think it's a party. You think that life is a party, and they've declared war on your black ass. Excuse my French on that. I did not mean to cuss so much, but sometimes it burns me up so much that I feel like we have to talk about this, and we got to be honest, and you got to talk to your sons about this, because it's not a game out here. A black man, a strong, intelligent black man, is an absolute threat to the racist power structure. So therefore, they're going to do everything in their power to emasculate your son, turn him into a punk. They're going to do everything in their power to make your son into a foot shuffling Uncle Tom who worships money over and will sell his integrity, sell his own mama up the river to make $1, to say anything. They want to raise your son to be ignorant, because when you're ignorant, when you're not educated, you don't understand what's being done to you. It's easy to rape somebody if they don't even know the value of their own vagina. So effectively, your son does not know the value of his own freedom, so it's very easy for people to take it. And that's where education comes into play. That's where the importance of educating our own kids comes into play. That's where we as black people have to be absolutely clear about where we stand. You cannot be afraid to speak in a way that is not consistent with the status quo. You have to join that army of people seeking to liberate yourself, liberate your family, liberate your community, and stand up to the coonery. Because I think every time I think about Bobby Shmurda, I get very, very sad, because here's a kid who could have had a great life, and I think now Bobby's starting to get a sense of the fact that he was a pawn in a bigger game, that he was screwed. He won't really understand it entirely until he's probably 30 years old. Some brother from the Nation of Islam or somewhere else is going to take him to the side and explain the game to him, make him read some books, and he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out real quick, but the problem is it'll be too late. He'll already be in the middle of a 20-year prison sentence, and much of his life will be over. And so I don't know if that upsets you as much as it upsets me, but I think it should piss us all off. Well, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.